I'm going to tell a million stories, and maybe one will hit home, and you'll be like, wow, that happened to me. And it's not about me. Well, it is. You know, television is a very, very crazy beast. I learned so much at Tyra. This is real emotion. This is something that I experienced.
I want the world to see what I have always seen, and that is the love that you have for just being yourself.
I love this person who knows who he is, who can make people laugh.
I think the script I gave you was a little bit different, but I'll take that.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm drinking at work because it's my show. I drink on my show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the relationship episode.
Is that our new title? It's no longer Do Like Danny?
No, it is Do Like Danny. We're going to do Like Danny, too. What we'll be talking about today is relationships, right?
Yes.
I think we need to have a theme.
A what?
A theme. A theme. A theme. I think today's theme should be relationships because I think that it's very poignant right now because I think everybody wants to have someone to call their own, someone to snuggle with, somebody to like go out and do
somebody
things
to
with.
love.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not even love. Like, for instance, like, perfect example, my faux date, my faux ration, my faux, I don't know, faux relationship, my faux mationship. You know, I mean, everybody wants to feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. I mean, I would love to be in something. I mean,
Wait. But don't you have your apps for all that? I mean, you do bring it up quite a lot.
I don't know what those are. Yeah, listen, I'm going to say this. The apps, that's like the biggest farce. I mean, listen, you know, if you are a six-pack and you're blonde hair, blue eyes, yeah, I'm sure you're pretty busy.
So they're biased.
Absolutely, they're biased. I mean, some of the profiles say, you know, no fat, no femme, or they try to skirt around the issue and they say, well, I'm only attracted to masculine men. Mm-hmm. And then my response is always like, how masculine are you with a dick in your mouth?
I mean, you have a point. I'll be honest.
You know, not to be judgy.
I was going to say, couldn't somebody argue that having a dick in your mouth is masculine because it's man on man? That's all the masculinity right there.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you're right. I guess it could be. But at any point, like, you know, I get it. They probably don't want screaming or whatever. And if you're screaming, then you're screaming. I don't know what to say to you. I actually even mentioned to one of my friends, I was like, oh, I was thinking of like painting my nails for like just for fun. Like I've never done it before. I wanted to do it for like pride.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's really not your brand. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I see everybody nowadays, everybody has their nails painted, whether they're butch or femme or whatever on the community spectrum that they claim to be on, you know. And, of course, that's a relationship with your nails and your body and your brand, apparently. Who knew? So I kind of was taken aback by it because I was like, oh, okay, maybe I won't then. And, like, I never really consider what people think or say to, like, to take to heart. Yeah. I'm like, whatever. If it works for you, great. It might not work for me. But I thought that this person would have been, yeah, sure. That sounds kind of fun. You should do it. You'd never done it before other than drag, you know. But, and he was like, yeah, no. And I felt very ungay at that point. I felt very...
He put you on spot.
I felt unwanted.
Oh, okay.
I felt unwanted. I don't like feeling unwanted. You know, everybody wants to be wanted in a relationship. So going back to the apps, yes, those exist, but you know, they're very depressing. You know, I don't know how normal gay people, and I'm not normal, right?
Well, which ones have you used? Go down the list.
Well,
here, go down the list and then.
Okay, so here's the thing. So there's one called Grindr, which is so not grooming anybody. So don't come back and be like, you're grooming. That your kids probably already know about this, so there's nothing to be groomed about. Okay,
it's like the gay pride trigger word is grooming.
It totally is, especially for me. Like it just I see red because it's like the easiest thing for people to say nowadays. That's like the word that they go to. Oh, you're grooming. It's like, we're really not. Like, okay, great. But so there's Grindr. Grindr is one of the relationship little apps, and so Grindr is for skinny people.
Okay.
So I'm obese by Grindr standards. Even though I put on there that I'm a bigger person, and still I get a few here and there. I get more though recently, which is like. This is not weird. It's just different for me. I've been getting a lot of transitional women. Yes. I got hit up by this beautiful
Female to male?
Female to male. No, male to female.
Oh, interesting.
Beautiful. And I was like, oh my God. And literally her her tagline was bottom slayer.
So, okay.
9 inches.
How do you feel when you're attracted to men, right?
Yeah.
On the outside, the transition is female, but down there,
Down below,
still
downstairs, in the basement.
I would imagine that doesn't do it for you just because down there is the same. Up here is what you're going to really be attracted to.
Yeah.
Right?
I've never really kind of been in that situation. It was a first, and all I said was, "Wow, thank you so much." Like I didn't know what to say. She was like, "What's up?" You know, and I'm like, "Oh my God." And she was beautiful.
Yeah.
She was gorgeous, and she was sending me all these dirty pictures, and I'm like, "Oh God, oh God, oh my God."
It's a new world for you.
What is happening? Why me? Like, why me?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody always compliments you on your eyes. You are pretty.
I'm not,
you're
though.
a beautiful
I'm not
male.
pretty. Look at that. I got shoe polish. My contacts were bought at JCPenney's. No, they're not.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought
That's
it was
a very,
too.
very interesting thing.
But then it goes back to like this whole like, was she grooming me? Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, listen, I take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. I mean, I don't know if I would be able to get into it though.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, but I also don't put on my profile, oh no, femmes. No, I really don't care.
Yeah.
But I think I would want a man, like, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't care if the man is feminine or masculine. I don't really care about that. Like, that's not a big deal for me because when the lights are off, like, that doesn't, you know.
I think it would just kind of throw you off, right? You're
like
going at it, and then all of a sudden you feel a breast, and you're like, wait a minute. And then, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
which
I'm
one is
confused.
mine.
I'm really confused. And like for me, I think if the person is like really smart, that really piques my interest.
Okay.
I enjoy that. I enjoy, good grammar. I enjoy someone that spells words properly. And maybe that's silly, but that's just kind of like, that's kind of what kind of floats my boat.
Okay.
Someone I can have a conversation with.
Yeah.
Because you can have sex with anybody. And it
It's
doesn't
true.
mean anything. And and here's the other part of it too. So I mentioned Grindr, where I'm obese on it. And then there is Growler, but it's for hairier husky men. And although I'm husky,
You're not very hairy.
I'm not hairy. I'm not hairy. I mean, look, it took me literally 2 weeks to grow this little bit out. If you can see it, if
Can
you're
you grow
listening,
one?
Dana.
Can you grow a full one?
No, because it won't. Because I was in an accident when I was younger. It won't grow up here.
I get patches, so I can't do it.
And
I
it
just
grows
look like a little boy.
It grows like hair. It grows like hair. It's the weirdest thing.
Like a Wolverine style.
Yeah, it doesn't curl. There's no shape to it. It's just like hair. It's not right. It's not right. And so of course, obviously when I'm on there, the guys are like, I want hairy. I want husky. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm husky, but I'm not hairy.
You're too smooth.
I'm too smooth. And then nobody wants me.
Yeah.
So then there's a chubby chaser website
Okay.
called Bigger City. And on Bigger City, I'm anorexic.
Really?
I'm not fat enough. So I go on there and literally, like, I start talking to guys and they're like, how much do you weigh? And I'm like, oh, I weigh like 300 pounds. And they're like, yeah.
We're looking for 5 or 6. That's
They're-
the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, that's like, no, they want like so heavy that they're almost immobile.
Huh.
So I'm like, I'm kind of stuck. Like, where am I? So
Where do I land in my own community?
Yeah, in my own community, I'm shunned across the board.
So are you like a little cub or a little bear? Like, what do they do?
I don't know. I'm just obese. But yet I'm not obese on the spectrum of Bigger City. It doesn't make any sense. It's really funny.
That is actually
It
pretty
is really funny. I'm really like stuck in the middle. Like, I don't know, by West Hollywood standards, I'm obese. And by the bear community, I'm not hairy enough. And I can't really be considered a cub because I think I'm too fat to be a cub.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so where do you land? We got to come up with a whole new category.
Well, yeah, well, that's the problem. I get these straight men that are like incognito that want to like play around, and then apparently then it's okay. It's all good. In fact, I was on there, and I was on the Grindr one, and I hadn't seen this guy in a long time. And he popped up again. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh my God, hi, I haven't seen you forever. Like, what's going on? And we caught up, and he said to me, he goes, don't think I don't miss that ass. And I'm thinking, like, is this what if I were to ever marry this man, is this what our wedding vows are going to be? I remember the day when you told me. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing romantic about it.
Yeah.
So I'm actually on the cusp of just deleting them all.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I actually never hook up. It's very, very, very extremely rare.
That was going to be one of my next questions for you. What's the percentage of you hooking up with each one? But if it doesn't happen often.
Never, practically. I mean, you know, it's, again, I would have thunk that being, you know, plus size would have given me the Willy Wonka golden ticket, right? I got a pretty face and everything. But no, some of them are like, you're not fat enough.
Wow, that's so weird.
That's crazy. Or they want to be what they call an encourager.
Wait. So what's an encourager?
An encourager is somebody that is encouraging you to gain weight, or they themselves want to be encouraged to gain weight. So that's like the banter. You're like, oh, I'm going to feed you. Like, I'm not kidding you. And you're like, what?
That
like,
is a little weird.
Daddy wants to feed you a cheesecake. And you're like, what? Like,
is there any food involved? Like, if
absolutely.
You ever meet?
Oh, yeah. Like, that's it. Like, it's a dinner date. Like,
so there's no sex, it's just food.
Well, I don't know because I've never met anybody.
You never went through it.
I never went through with it. But that they say, come over, I'm going to feed you. They want to feed you.
Wow, that is so
And they want to
weird.
make you so full. And then I think they do have sex.
While you're full?
Yeah.
I could imagine that doesn't feel so great.
No, I don't think so.
It's like you have to wait, like when you go swimming, you got to wait at least 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think longer than if you're super full. I'm just saying, you know, on the gay terms, if you know what I mean. But it's so weird. I mean, listen, relationships are so crazy nowadays, and you would think with access to so many people on this particular app that it would be easy. It'd be like shooting fish in a barrel. But it's not.
It's worse.
It's worse because then the ones on Grindr are so picky. And it's like, why are you so picky?
Yeah.
No wonder you're 50 and you're still fucking single. Like, boo.
Yeah.
You're bald and you're like, I just sleep with younger men. Like, you see some of these 50-year-olds that they want younger.
They want that 18 to 20.
Which is like, that's gross, number one. And then there's people like me who, for some reason, I think it's just I have a very youthful energy.
Yeah.
And that's all I get hit up on. And I have one who's 24. I'm like, hey, what's up? We talk a lot, whatever. But he's like, Zelda just came out.
I cannot relate to that.
I mean, I did back in the day.
Yeah.
I did back in the day, but it's like I don't play the games anymore.
You grew up.
I feel really out of place right now. I think, honestly, you know, because, and then you have like people that are my age in their 50s that are still gamers, that still play games.
Yeah.
But they're living at home with their parents.
Again, you can't relate to that.
Which then brings up the next thing, which is they can't host.
Yes.
So if you've heard it in the past, I can host, right? But I don't want to host. I'm tired.
Well, you don't mind hosting, but you don't want to host all the time.
I just don't want to anymore. I'm just
Okay.
tired. So now I just say I can't host. So I guess I've knocked myself out of the league of even seeing anybody. So then they want car sex.
Aye.
So like we're 18 now. So you want to meet up in my car? I'm like, no, I don't want to meet up in your car. What the hell? Like relationships are hard right now.
I can relate to that. I dated this girl who was a little bit younger than me, and she just always wanted to have sex in the car. And for me, I don't know, maybe I'm old. I want to bed, and then I want to go to sleep right after. I'm tired. I gotta work the next day.
And listen, don't get me wrong. Like, did that happen with Jared? Absolutely.
But you were younger, right?
When we were younger.
Yeah, when
We
you
were
couldn't
like-
host and you had to do it, you had the hormones going, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Now you're old, you're like, I want to be cramped, I can't stretch my legs out. You're hitting the stick shift, you're like, oh God, I put it in reverse. It's a pain in the ass, man.
It is a pain. And then you think in your head, well, maybe we can go to the beach or something. And you're like, nah, because it's going to be salty and sandy. When I was younger, I was like, yeah, whatever, who cares? Just do it, right? You're like on the rock, you're on gravel, you're like on glass. You don't care. You're just having the best time of your life.
That makes me feel good because I thought I was like, man, I must be getting like pretty dull and boring. But it's just old age. As you just become older, you just don't care for that much, I guess, excitement. You're like, I've been there, I've done it. Let's just have a good old traditional bed.
Yeah. Well, then, so then, like, on a side note here, I do the whole rideshare thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was Gay Pride. Like, this whole month is Gay Pride.
Yes.
But so I drove through Santa Monica because I was like, let me go kind of see what's going on in the neighborhood. And it was packed.
Yeah. It
was just packed. It was filled to the rim. All the patios were filled. People were spilling out into the streets. It was a lot. And like, I don't know, getting older, it's just, I don't want to be confined like that. I want to go dance. I want to have fun. I want to have my drinks, but I don't want to be on a patio with somebody's cigarette in my face.
Yeah.
You
had mentioned that you weren't going to go this year to any parades, right?
No, I didn't go to anything. I didn't go. Oh, I am going to go to Disney's Pride Night, and I'll give everybody a full update on how, because it's the first one ever. Yeah. It's the first Pride Night, so I'm going with my cousin Tiffany.
What are some of your expectations for that night?
I don't know if it's going to be a shit show. So we're totally like trying to figure out a way to sneak alcohol in.
Okay.
Right? I'm not going to tell you how we're going to do it, but
I hope not. They're going to come for you.
They're going to come for me.
They're not going to sponsor you now.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it. We already have a plan, and I will reveal my plan next week. So that'll be fun. I think it's a great plan on how to sneak alcohol into Disney, but yeah, can't wait for that. That'll be fun. Anyways, I won't tell you. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
You know what you should do? You should say it, and then I'll just bleep the whole thing out.
I know. Could you imagine? Oh, God. But yeah, we have a whole plan and how that's going to work. And all my friends, we're going to go down and we're going to celebrate Gay Pride.
Okay.
There's also, well, it's not Gay Pride related, I'm going to be hanging out with Cousin Angelo.
Yeah.
And we are going to the zoo for 80s night at the zoo. So I got to find a fluorescent shirt.
Okay. So what does that entail when you go?
I've never gone before.
Okay.
Let me back up. My cousin Angela, her family works at the zoo, and so one year she said to me, in fact, I think like last year or the year before, they have a Christmas event, and so she said, "Let's go." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So we went, and it was actually a lot of fun. You get like, they had like food vendors, and they had alcohol. It was beer and wine. We had those tiki. Those Cutwater, is that the name? Cutwater?
Cutwater, I never heard of it.
Right? It's Cutwater. Oh my God, if I ever get sponsored, I'm like, yeah, dumbass. So it's this little can. It's not a little can. It's a regular can of alcohol. And they come in different flavors, whether it be margarita, pre-mixed. They have a tiki rum punch, and I think the alcohol content is like 85. It's like ridiculous.
Wow.
Like we had 2 of those, and we were like
jacked.
We were jacked. We were having photo shoots in the zoo. It's 8:00 at night, and we're like,
and it's Christmas
out.
Time with all the kids and everything going on. Oh,
and I was
God.
singing, "Rockin' Around!" Like, it was wild. We had a really good time. We had a lot of fun.
I've actually seen you like that one time for New Year's, and we were standing out waiting to get our bus tram back to our cars, and the whole time, for some reason, you went off on Amber Alerts and how your taxpayer money pays for that, and then you lost your picture that we had bought.
I still have that.
And you were like, it's so funny because you didn't know you lost it.
Yeah.
And I had it in the room, and you're like, I lost it. I'm like, no, you didn't. I picked it up while you dropped it. I just didn't tell you.
So that everybody knows at home, though, like we had taken, we were, okay, so we went for New Year's. It was me, you, your dad. Was that the fight that night? Was that the fight?
I want to say it was, but I can't remember.
It might have been the fight. Did I ever talk about the fight?
No, we have not talked about
Oh, my God. We have to hold that one for another day. Because we're talking about relationships.
This relationships. We'll have to come back to that one.
Come back to that one. We can't talk about the relationship with Disney right now. Right now we're doing relationships in the gay community. And that doesn't count. Oh, that's some good stuff.
That's a good story.
That's a great story. Oh, sorry, folks. Ba-dum-bum. Maybe next week. But right now, it's relationship. So for those of you at home, if you're going through a relationship, or if you are or listening or watching or whatever, aliens in the universe, relationships, again, going back to it, for me right now, they're kind of hard. I'm kind of stuck in a place where, if I might stay here, I might go to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just talk about that later.
Well, if you go back to New York, does that mean what I think it means with Jimmy?
No, I don't know. I get that question a lot. A lot of my friends and family ask me all the time about Jimmy. I don't know where that relationship exists right now. He's definitely doing his own amazing thing, and I'm definitely doing my own amazing thing here with this show. and with you. So that's a hard question. I was like, get high pitched. Oh my God, that's a hard question. I became Mickey Mouse. Hi, everybody.
What are you hiding, D?
I know, right? I was like, oh my God. I'm not hiding anything. I don't know. You know, with Jimmy, it's all the love will always be there.
Yeah.
Whenever we're together, it's like we were never apart, and I don't know what that means. So I haven't really like delved into deeper in terms of like, does that mean anything, or maybe it just means we're gonna be friends for the rest of our life? I hope so. I'm sorry, I should rewind that. I hope that he remains in my life at some degree. I think that we had a wonderful relationship up until, God, it lasted like forever.
Yeah.
Like, over 8 years, maybe 9. I don't know. I'm so bad at remembering things in my old age. And yeah, I think he definitely needed to grow. And I think with his growth, he's either going to go one of two ways. He is either going to come back into my life, or it'll stay the same the way that it is right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him. Maybe one day we'll have him on. Jimmy. But he's a great guy, and he's growing. He needed to go experience, what he needed to experience.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at that. I don't think I'll ever be upset with him, or we didn't fight. That was a good relationship.
If it was good, I guess my next question to you was, why did it end? And I have my assumptions, but I've never really kind of confronted you about it. I guess now this is my platform too, because we're talking about relationships. So do you want to give a little insight on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I have no shame. I'm not grooming anybody. I don't want to blame it on the talk. I think, what always sticks in my mind is there's a scene in The Devil Wears Prada, and Stanley Tucci his character is talking to, oh God, what is her name?
Anne Hathaway?
Thank you.
Okay.
He's talking to Anne Hathaway, and she had just gotten promoted. And she's venting to him all the things that she has to do.
Yeah.
And she's like, and my relationship is falling apart. And he goes, honey, he's like, you just got promoted. He goes, wait till you start to get hired.
Wow.
And it's like, and it's true. I equate that moment in my life to that scene from the movie. I had gotten promoted, and I was way involved in my job more than ever. I hadn't learned the art of balance, and I don't know if I ever will. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
We put everything, and I shouldn't say I put everything into everything that I do.
Yeah.
And I don't do it if I can't put everything into it.
Correct.
So for me, something had to give. He was working graveyard.
Yeah. And he had just got promoted too, right?
And he was moving up the ladder very quickly. Very, very quickly. But I never felt like, and of course it's sad that he's going to have to hear this here, because we never really have had this conversation. Because whenever I talk to him, I end up crying. And I wish I knew why. And I don't know if it's just there's so much emotion there, but we're both Leos, and I always wanted him just to understand me.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I always want in a relationship, is people to understand my point of view, right? And it could be construed as toxic. It could be crazy. It could be multiple things, because my relationship is based upon what I've been exposed to. I'm sorry. Let me rewind that. The relationships that I have had are the result of me being exposed to my parents' relationship.
Yeah.
My aunt and uncle's relationship, the relationships with my friends. So, we draw from what we're exposed to.
And what we see.
And what we see. And it probably was not the right thing to do. I probably shouldn't have broken up with him. Obama had just died.
So there was a lot of things going on.
There
Yeah,
was so many things. I'd gotten promoted. Grandma Irene had died, and Grandma Obama had died. Going through all of that emotion. Both matriarchs on both sides of the family.
Yeah.
Within a couple of years of each other. And so when you have two people in your life so poignant, besides your parents, obviously, of course, and, God bless my mother, my father, but I was definitely way closer to my grandparents than anything, My grandma Irene held me like I was the king. So, Bama was amazing.
Yeah.
She went through her life, and that's what I drew from. I can't ever say that we weren't loved. And I say we because we're in the same family.
Yeah.
We were all loved. And so I always wanted to give that same love back. And when I met Jimmy, I found someone that I could give that love to, but he was in a different place. And at the time of the talk, at the time of, Obama's passing, it was too much for me. I had to figure something out. And what I should have done is I should have quit the talk. Is what I should have done.
But you know that now. At the time,
correct.
You're so in it. That's not where your mind is at. All those kind of red flags come out later on.
Yeah.
Because I've been there myself. That's what I'm going through currently. So hearing you talk to me right now, you're speaking to me on a personal level.
I don't want to blame Jimmy because everything I do is my own thing, right? I always wanted him to be more supportive. And I don't mean that like in a monetary way. I mean that like in an emotional way. So Jimmy, to me, wasn't very supportive emotionally. So at that time, but I was to him. So like when he came to me and said, "Hey, I have the potential to get promoted," I 1,000%. Yes, Jimmy, you should talk. Absolutely. You should do it. You should do it. You should do it. But when I would talk to him about my things, I don't feel like I got the same support.
Okay.
I feel like I just got like a little pat in the head and it was moved on. So when I was, go ahead.
I was going to ask, did he show it in any other ways?
Not really.
Okay.
Because also too, he was working graveyard. We never really spent a lot of time with each other. And when we did spend time with each other towards the end, he was always sleeping.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to bother him. I'm like Anne Franking around the apartment to do laundry and to clean because I'm off on the weekend, and he wasn't. So it just didn't really match. We didn't have date nights anymore. We just
fell apart.
I wouldn't say fell apart. We stopped working on the relationship and we were working on our careers. And again, I attribute that to I didn't know balance. My mom worked like a workhorse. My father worked like a workhorse. And that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So what was a relationship?
Yeah.
I think Jimmy's and ours relationship was kind of like on cruise control.
Was that towards the end or you think throughout the whole relationship?
I think towards the end was definitely on cruise control.
I never shared this with you, but when you guys did break up, it did play a small factor into why I left my relationship. I actually thought it was very strong of you guys to walk away, and because you guys had been together forever, and I was currently going through a lot of the same things that you're talking about. I was having a lot of issues with, and I didn't know how to get out. And so when it was announced, I was sad because I liked Jimmy. I didn't judge you for it, but I understood it. I said, wow. So, because to be honest, I thought you guys were going to be together forever.
Me too.
and when you guys weren't, I go, wow, so I can just walk away and everything is going to work out the way it should. And, I ended up leaving mine, and not to be like, oh, it was the greatest thing, but I'm a lot happier because I did it. I found something better for myself that wasn't a relationship. I actually just found how to be me. I've never told you that. I've always wanted to tell you that. I just never knew how to bring that up. But it is kind of interesting to hear the different sides because you see it a different way. But to people who you influence, like myself, I saw it my own way. Yeah. So I don't know what else to say, but that's interesting to hear you say that.
It was a rough time, but I had to. I mean, listen, I had told him I wanted to talk to him, and he revealed later on. He said, "I knew." He says, "I knew what was coming."
Yeah,
and it was just there was a lot of tension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of tension, but I think a lot of it because I was under so much stress at work. And I will blame myself. I can't blame him.
Yeah.
But I was the one that pulled the plug. I was the one that said, something's got to give. My relationship is not working out, and my work is really awful right now. I can't have both being tumultuous.
Yeah.
And so I probably made the shittiest and the easiest move, which was just cut him off, you know? And I think it was good for him because, you know, he had moved all the way over here from New York and, you know, seeing his family and him going back, he went back home.
Yeah.
You know? And that was what he needed to do.
But he also got the experience out here that he wasn't going to get over there.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you think about life and all the choices that we make, every choice that we make leads us to where we're at. So everything you've done has led you to where you're sitting, and same thing with me. So for him, I mean, that's how his life was supposed to go. It's how it was supposed to work out.
Yeah. I just don't know if I will ever be back into it because then now you kind of like going back to relationships. It's like, you know, you hear people, no, I shouldn't say you hear people, but your friends say, well, you never go back.
Yeah.
You never look back.
Well, you can. Just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't be doing it because you're lonely. Because I used to do that.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm not lonely. I'm just looking for, again, someone that's going to pique my interest. You know, going back to those apps, it's a very confusing time for me right now. You know, here I am stuck again, obese by West Hollywood standards, but not hairy enough and not, you know, thin enough to be a husky hairy cub or a bear. I'm not butch enough to be a bear. I can't grow hair. Yeah. And then by, you know, the bigger city standards, and I'm sure that there's more out there. Those are just the three that I've kind of perused, you know, and to actually hear that from a man say to me, you're just not fat enough.
Yeah.
You're like, should I be happy? Like, I mean, I should be rejoicing, like, the fact that somebody's saying that to me, but then I get other people that say, you're too big. And it's like, I'm not big. I'm really not, but whatever.
Do you think there are other men out there who are experiencing what you're going through? Maybe older or... Like are you, and I hate to say this, but are you like an outdated gay? Like, are you like are you gay 0.1 and they're like gay 2.0? Like, what does that mean?
Exactly. You know? Like, I don't know. I mean, listen, there are the bars. I go to the local bar, I go with my cousin Angelo, and there are bears there that play with everybody. They have nights where like everybody does dirty things with each other, which is like, and then I look at them and I'm like, oh God, why would those two people hook up? How are those two people dating? Like,
so you're in the corner judging?
I'm so judging.
So wait, now who's picky?
Right? No, but like, it's like, I look at them and I'm like, why can't I find a boyfriend? Like, how the fuck did they meet each other? And it's like such a juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Like, and that's going back to the Chubby Chaser website, to be honest, like, those guys are, they're great looking. They are great looking. And you're like, what? I'm not fat enough? Like, six pack, you know, just muscular dudes that want 600 pounds.
That's interesting.
It's
I mean, there's something for everybody out there.
I agree. I just haven't found mine yet. There's a lid for every pot. And right now, my pot is boiling. Woo, relationships are so hard.
Yep.
You know, going back to, you know, just relationships in general with like your family and like your friends, you know, moving forward, like even still, like I have friends that like, you know, they go to those gay parties. Well, Cousin Art goes to those, like, he's buff. I mean, he fits in. Him and Zach are like muscular gays. They're those gays.
Well, their routine is pretty legit. I mean, I saw him wake up one time like at 5 a.m. working out, and I was like, I'm getting ready to go somewhere, and you're working out. He's like, yep, I got to work out at 5 a.m. I'm like, wow.
It's so crazy, but like, you know, and listen, God bless them because they work on their bodies, and that's great, and that's the fruit of their labor. But I feel like it's such a hard thing to live up to in the gay community because you're not going to be that way forever.
Yeah.
You're going to want to eat the cake. You're going to want to have, I mean, you should see the pool parties. Because me, I go and I wear my little trunks and not that I don't care. Listen, I am active. I swim. I, you know, hike. I'll do whatever. I'm not a lazy person.
No, you're not. You do move around a lot.
But I'm also not going to like, you know, go on a cleanse.
You're not going to eat half a grape. You're going to eat a full thing of pizza and be like, that's good.
I'm like, I'm going to enjoy my life. Because at the end of the day, we both end up in the same place, whether I'm obese or whether I'm not. You know, and I don't, listen, I'm not trying to groom people to go eat more. I'm just, I'm just trying to say, live your life.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of life is that? Because you have inserted yourself into this group of gays that are always on a diet.
Yeah.
And they're always protein. And they're always like going on the latest cruises and everybody's just so fit. And it's like, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of pressure. And it's not even a pressure of and I don't want to like make fun of them, but like making yourself better. Like if you're going to do it because you want to be healthy.
Yeah.
Don't do it because that's going to insert you like a Lego into their society.
Yeah.
Because in the end, I don't think that they're all going to stay friends forever.
Yeah. I hear you.
I mean, I'm happy right now. And maybe they do have friends that they'll remain in their life forever. But I'm happy right now because I have my core friends that I can count on. There's no BS. Whatever I need. And there's no BS back. Mike Dana will tell me, listen, you fucked up. Oh my God, I totally did. Like in a good way. And she's like, you need to do this, you need that. And I get it. That's the love that I'm kind of used to. That
the tough love.
That tough love.
You need that tough love, yeah.
And to me, my relationships are very healthy right now, you know, and plentiful and fun. We travel, we cook. I'm not a West Hollywood scene person.
I hear you. I'm the same way.
I'll go to a bar. I don't care, but I don't want to go to a screaming bar. And it's probably the worst thing to say ever about my community. But I don't want to walk into a bar and have to, you know, be challenged by some queen who is 105 pounds and thinks they're going to come at me. You know, they're going to get sat on, squashed real quick.
You have a lot of people do that to you?
Oh my God. I walk in, you know, I'm older. So it's like, you know, you walk in like, oh, and they say shit and they judge, you know, the same way that I judge when I'm at other bars. When, you know, me throwing stones. But, yeah, it happens. You know, you bump into people. You know, nowadays, and I'm going to say these kids with iPhones, they don't get it.
Yeah.
There's no more courting. You know, there's no more being romantic. There's none of that.
Or just being polite at all.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And just being polite in general. Be polite in your relationships. Be polite.
Do you notice that? And like, just to change a little bit, but at Disneyland, you'll be walking and people won't even say, excuse me, nothing.
They'll
And you're
barrel
like,
into
yeah,
you.
they'll barrel right into you.
Here's the funny part. Look at me. Why would you barrel into me? 99.9% of the time, you're going to bounce off of me. And you're going to look like an idiot because here you are in your phone, so engulfed that you're not paying attention, and you just boing.
Yep.
You would laugh at all the people. We should just film it one day. How they think they can check me, even bigger dudes. It's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to fight with them, but it's like, pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
It doesn't, nobody's asking you to do that much. Just watch out where you're going.
Watch out where you're going.
And if you can't, say, excuse me.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so, you know, when I went to a big event years ago with the comedian Bill from The Talk, we went to the Cavs, the basketball game.
Yeah.
And Cleveland, they were so nice. It was a huge event. They were in the finals. And that was the one thing. Yes, it was great to be there for a finals game, but it was wild because, you know, it was a huge escalator. And I'm like, oh, my God, I was getting anxiety because you go to Staples or whatever it's named now, Crypto, Dopto, whatever. And people are just like, like it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
But in Cleveland, they were like, oh, no, after you. Oh, no problem. And people were doing the zipper effect. And it was like so calm. And there were tons of people. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And you're like, oh my God, people are so nice out
Like,
here.
what happened out here? Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like gays, but that's okay. They're very nice. They're very nice. So where do you see yourself? I mean, are you looking to like try to get into a relationship or?
I plead the fifth.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you know, if it happens, it happens. I left a relationship that was in for a very long time, and I wasn't very mature. I was very immature. I had a lot to learn. And I can say that I have been learning a lot. Things are different for me. I would have never started this show if I was in that relationship at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't have that kind of confidence. And I still don't necessarily have confidence. I don't think. I just more or less I'm doing now. Whereas before I would overthink. So right now I'm just trying to work on me and figure out my shit. And I think that's the best thing for me.
That's fair. That's a very good answer.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how we'll just end it there in terms of, relationships in general, whether you are a small person, a middle person, or a large person. At the end of the day, you have to do what's right for you. And if it's not serving you, and I don't mean that in like a, monetary way, then you should definitely move on.
Yeah.
But I think it gets hard. I think we get into predicaments, and I think that we get picky and we think it's going to be perfect, and nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. I will probably beat this into your head, but I fought for so many years to be so perfect. And for what? I shouldn't say it's not worth it. It is not worth it. It's not worth it because I put myself in such a category of like trying to be perfect. And in the end, I realized I'm not perfect. I'm not. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with who I am. I've made a ton of mistakes, and you'll hear that often. And I still continue to make mistakes as I learn, as I progress through this life. It's not easy. So prayers to all the young kids out there, because it is hard. If I'm a 50-year-old man trying to figure this out still, yeah. But I have options, so I can't complain.
Well, hold on. Now that we've talked about relationships, what's going on with the relationships of your stories? Because last week's was pretty bad.
Oh, my God.
We got to hear the aftermath of that. Yeah.
In our last episode, Danny was working at the Talk. Danny learned about ADA. Danny learned all sorts of things. Danny learned that people get hurt. And Danny learned that he gets hurt. Let's begin. The talk.
Did you go home and have a glass of wine after last week's episode? Did it bring back flashbacks? Were you tense?
It did. It really did. I took a nap. After we do these episodes, it's always like I'm just like spent.
I'm drained. I always have to take a 3-hour nap. Yeah.
And like now that we video, I have to be cognizant of like my lazy eye, my smile and my like puffiness. I ate way too much salt the past couple of days. I'm super puffy. I think I look good though for being my age. I think I look good. I see other people coming up in this world, and I'm like, "Ooh, you look thirsty. That skin." Ooh,
we're naturally greasy, so we look good.
Yeah, your skin needs a drink, girl. You are thirsty. I've seen friends that have lost a lot of weight, and you're like, "Ooh, no. I think you need to gain a few pounds back. Something needs to go back into the filler of the face."
Where it gets sunken in, right?
Yeah, it's sunken in. Or their skin's so wrinkly.
Yeah.
It scares me because I think I look terrible, but then I meet people and they're like, "Oh my God, Danny, you look the effing same." And they always say the same thing. "Do you have a deal with the devil?" And I'm like, "No, why? I don't think I look the same."
Because you worked in Hollywood, you had that Illuminati blood.
Oh my God. I need to do a nip tuck and a lift. But anyways, going back to the talk. The talk was these are the beginning years.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And in the last episode, we talked about how that poor lady fell out of the cart in her wheelchair. The wheelchair was strewn out into the street, and she was so obese and so heavy set that it took like 5 people to turn her over.
Wow, that's actually a lot of people.
Yeah, they had umbrellas out just to cover her, and she was like on her back, and she's screaming. She was burning because the asphalt was hot.
Yeah.
What a nightmare for that poor Paige also too. I mean, you ask about aftermath. I think that I definitely drank a lot that night. It fortified the fact that there was no way in hell I was going to be able to do my job as audience producer and the warm-up.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people, now they're hearing this, because nobody ever wanted to hear my side. Nobody cared. And I don't blame them. Nobody cares on TV. Nobody cares. They just want it done, right? Just get it done, which is, I think, is the worst thing any supervisor could ever say to you.
Yep. So do you feel like you were in over your head? Because it sounds like you feel that way.
I don't want to say that I was in over my head, and maybe that's my pride talking. Yeah, that's my pride talking. I was in over my head. And I was in over my head because there were so many new things to consider that had to be integrated when it came to the legalities of the ADA. And honestly, I don't even feel like I ran an audience department. I feel like I ran an ADA department because something was popping up every single day. I was emailing the lawyers probably every hour.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Because I didn't ever want to give the wrong answer, and I didn't want to make up shit. I mean, you know, so many shows make up shit. And I checked with my legal on everything. I was getting sign-offs on so many different things that the executives will never know what I had to go through and what I had to do. And David, I mean, we documented everything.
Yeah.
It didn't end there. There were other mishaps, unfortunately. I mean, this is California. People, all of their middle names are Sue. Everybody wants to sue for something.
Oh, yeah.
And so people would come to the show and we would get heads up. Hey, by the way, this person's booked on your show. They've been to The Price is Right. They have tried to sue every single time they come, blah, 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 blah. And then they would come to our show and there would be nothing that they could complain about. They would try.
I was going to tell you, they didn't have any kind of blacklist to not allow these people to come back. I mean, I would assume as a big company they would.
Yes, they do. But also, too, on the other end of it, CBS was very lax on their, like, blacklist. And maybe that's not the right word to use. Maybe their do not admit list. You know, you really couldn't prevent people from coming to the show. And so the way that CBS kind of operated was let them come. Now, if they act up, that's a different story. Welcome them into the environment. And if in the environment they choose to make it this big ordeal, then that is a reason to not ask them back. But they just didn't automatically do it.
Got it.
And there were a lot of people that were audience members as we went down. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but as the years went by, I got blamed all the time.
Okay.
I got blamed all the time. You put me on a blacklist. You put me on this. You put me on that. You put me on the do not admit list. What people don't realize is I never did any of the bookings. I didn't book the audience members. I was inundated with other things in my department. Maybe once in a while I would book, but that was what the team did.
Yeah.
That was what their job was. I oversaw that. I booked many a times. I'd booked at Ellen. I'd booked at Tyra. And I said maybe I did book a little bit at the talk.
Yeah.
But that's what I had my team for. We weren't in a position to turn people away.
Yeah.
You know, and then the giveaway started. And then that became an issue because people were just, you know, you apply for tickets, your mom applies for tickets, and your aunt applies for tickets.
Yeah.
So guess what? It's all the same day because they all want to just get the giveaway, whether it be Valentine's, Mother's Day, whatever, right?
And when did they start that? Like when did the talk start doing the giveaways? Because that was the thing that started at Oprah, I want to say.
Yes.
And then that became a big thing. I think Ellen started doing it. And then now almost seems like every fucking show has to do a giveaway.
It's kind of waned over the years because I think the brands are kind of realizing now that they really didn't get a lot of return on their investments.
Yeah.
And that 95% of the people would just take the items and resell them. So it doesn't really help the brand.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it too, it doesn't really hurt the brand because the brand could write it off as a loss or a charity.
And just to add to that, I have so many of the giveaways. In fact, I was just using one to make. I made a homemade pizza, had a Ninja with a blender. I bought a PS4 or was it a 5? I don't remember. But I got some good stuff, so I'm not complaining. And yes, unfortunately, I only did go on the giveaways, but I would have went regardless.
But you didn't go all the time.
No.
You would come like once, maybe a season, maybe twice. I didn't abuse it.
Yeah.
I gave my staff always tickets. They always had carte blanche. But some of the executives too, like they would never have people come to the show except on giveaways. And we had already booked the show.
What about any of the talk show hosts?
Ooh, we have to get into that.
Oh, okay.
We have to get that. That's actually a whole...
It's a whole show on its own.
That's going to be like 3 episodes there because that's juicy.
All right, we're throwing all of them under the bus.
Yeah. Ooh, that's going to be, oh my God, because then they would invite their family. Oh my God, that was a nightmare.
I can imagine.
I've never experienced that level of insanity. But okay, so let's go back to the talk. So, you know, I'm there with John, I'm there with the producers, I'm there with everybody. Now, how I realized that this was going to be a different production was one of the first meetings that we had. EP, there were 2 Ps. It was a Brad was one of them and John was another. And they were together, they managed. Brad sent out an email saying, we're going to have a meeting, stay after the normal weekly meeting, and we're going to have a topics meeting. So everybody bring 10 topics of things that you think that we should discuss on the show. At the beginning of the show, it was touted as it was the mom show because they were all moms.
Yeah.
Everyone on the panel was a mom. And that was kind of the way that it started. Now, it didn't stay that way. It changed, as with everything does.
Yeah.
So there's no negativity there at all whatsoever, but we were doing a lot of mom topics, if you will, like kids and stuff like that. So, I saw the email, and so I put together my 10 topics and whatever. And everyone was giving their topics, and then Brad was going, oh, that's good. Okay, let's write that down. And they were pegging stuff, right? It's my turn. And I say my topics, I say my topics, and Brad was like, oh my God, those are actually really good. Thank you so much, right? Because we're contributing. I thought I was a part of a producing team.
Correct.
Right? And John leans over to Brad, and he goes, he's like, Danny doesn't have to do this. Like, it's nice that he did, but he doesn't have to do this.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking, why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
Like, I felt really stupid in that moment. I
you didn't need to be there.
Well, but it wasn't like, so backstory, audience producer is not someone that is regarded, apparently. They don't care. And if there was ever a moment where I felt like they didn't care, at least at Tyra, they pretended. You know what I mean?
But I mean, okay.
Whether it was real or whether it was not real, it felt real at Tyra.
I was going to say, does that make a difference if you know that? Like, at least they humored me. Is that better?
I don't know whether they humored me or whether they were just really good at their jobs at smoke and mirroring me, which was amazing because I really felt like I was a part of a team at Tyra. And when I came to the talk, that was what set the tone. And I've always made it a point to try to feel like I belonged, but that was the first time in my life where I didn't even know what to say. And then he did it in front of everybody.
Yeah, so he belittled you a little bit.
And I don't think he ever realized what he had done. I think in his mind, to defend him a little, I think he thought, well, Danny's the audience producer. He doesn't need to be here. He probably has tons of things on his plate to do, which I did. But I thought since producer was in my name, I was a part of the producing team.
Yeah.
And so when he said that, I felt like shit. And I've never felt like that before.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that to me until that point where this is your place. So at the talk, that was my place. I wasn't anything other than somebody who just put butts in the seats.
And that's how it felt for the rest of how many years? 9?
No, almost 9.
Wow.
Yeah, 9, yeah. And it did feel like that. Well, eventually Brad left. We went through a very tumultuous time in the beginning. And I shouldn't say tumultuous because it didn't really affect me that much. But for producers, with Leah, with Holly, with everybody, 5 women, everybody wants to be alpha dog.
Yeah.
And then there was Julie Chen, whose husband was Les Moonves.
So we know who the alpha one was.
Talk about relationships. Oh, I mean,
yeah.
that relationship there, she had carte blanche. And, in the beginning, I respected Julie. Number 1, I was a Big Brother fan, and so was Jimmy. And number 2, I had heard about her professionalism. And, her assistant came through and took Polaroids of everybody. And then they put your name in a book, and she learned it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, she learned everybody's name. Hi, Danny. Hi. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. It was just a ploy. We'll get more into that.
Saving face.
Yeah, it was for saving face. She didn't have much to offer. She was good at some things, but I never realized, as I got deeper into being a producer, I never realized how much she was phoning it in and how the executives just let her because she was Julie Chen.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that because I was not that deep in that inner circle yet. I was still on the outer rim of hell. I wasn't actually in Dante's Inferno quite just yet. Yeah. But going back to, because I really want to focus on like the great things that were about the talk.
Should we leave that for next week?
Oh, I don't know. Do we have enough time?
We're getting there.
Let's end it like this. So we've talked about relationships. I've shared some of my relationship details. I'm sure I will eventually share more. I'm sure Darnella will probably grill me, and Dana will probably make me say things also too, and correct me and how things went. But what I can say is I have been exposed to some really great relationships in my life, whether that be of romantic interest or whether that be business or whether that be people that I just met at the club. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go out there and be a part of something, because what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
The worst that could happen is it could work out. But if it works out, then you have to deal with it. And there's a lot that comes with it. So with that being said, I hope you guys all have great relationships. I hope that if you don't have a great relationship, that you are working towards creating that for yourself. Take that time today and enjoy your week. And remember to always do it like Danny.